AITA for not agreeing to sit and watch an entire TV show with my daughter as a bonding thing. She's probably really sad about splitting up with a partner she shared a life with. It's more about that than the TV show. When my kids are sad or otherwise vulnerable, I say yes to a lot of together time I would normally try to wriggle out of. Lol. You definitely shouldn't feel pressure to watch every single GG episode, but maybe suffer through a few if that's what she needs right now. Obviously, giving her a place to live is already doing a lot for her, and I'm not saying you're being unreasonable. But from an outsider's perspective, you've got a small blind spot when it comes to an emotional need she has right now. Ha ha. I was a 50-year-old man when I lost my job. My youngest son was in high school. We would watch GGs when he got home from school. He liked Rory and I liked Lorelai. My wife would get home from work and see us watching and would just roll her eyes at us. She still teases us about it. Now she's retired and watches reruns of GGs. You know this isn't really about the TV show, right? I once watched 3 seasons of a show I detested simply because my early 20s son asked me to. It was about him wanting to spend quiet time with mom, sharing something he was interested in with me. We watched. We talked. We made fun of goofy plot lines. We laughed. I still hate the show, but I wouldn't trade that time with him for the world. My husband and I, also my sister and I, will watch a show together. It is a fun activity to do when you're both enthusiastic about the show. Since you're willing to watch a movie weekly, see if there's another show altogether that you two can watch. Tell her the genres you like and ask her if anything therein is interesting to her. Tell her your compromise is bonding over a different show, just not Gilmore Girls. Try to keep the dripping disdain out of your voice and meet her in the middle. Nah, you're allowed to not like the show. But have you suggested any alternate activities to do together? Your daughter was reaching out for connection and hoping that a show that is about the strong bond between a mother and daughter would be good for relating to her own mother. And you basically shat all over her offer. My guess is there's a reason she enjoys the fantasy of a strong mother-daughter relationship in Gilmore Girls. AITA for assuming I was invited to my cousin's wedding and making a scene when I found out I wasn't. NTA. A card to the asterisk last names asterisk would normally include everyone in that family living there. No reason to ask either. I would also have assumed I was invited. Your cousin is an AH. Bigots are automatically Oz. There's no looking gay. That's crap. Hell, I look gay, but I'm straight. And plenty of lesbians aren't the butch gay type bigots envision. I'm sorry to say your cousin is a bigot. She cares more about the bigoted ills than her own cousin. You were hurt, and logically so. You reacted in a way that could be expected from someone who has been hurt. Sending you hugs. I'm going with NTA. If it was genuinely an innocent mistake about the invite. I mean, you live at home. Your parents and siblings were invited. You've never been previously excluded. There was no reason to think that you weren't included, even though not specifically mentioned. As you said, your siblings don't live at home, so they got separate invites. Out of interest, would your parents and siblings etc. still have gone to the wedding if they knew that you had been excluded for being a lesbian? Even about the scene. You did not cause a scene. She was the one that made a scene. She could have just looked past your attendance, since you weren't harming anyone. But instead she insulted you. And you defended yourself. Edited spelling. NTAIF your parents and siblings were all invited. It would be logical to believe you were invited too. Especially as nobody had discussed it with your family. Did your grandparents know that you weren't invited? At least your family can cut them all off knowing what awful people they are. Why didn't she just address it as Mr. and Mrs. last name to avoid confusion? Your cousin is a dumbass and a bigot. Big AITA for abruptly moving out because I can't stand my sister's pranks anymore. Or, NTA, the end result of your sister's constant barrage of aggressive and antagonistic behaviors towards you was for you to feel unsafe in your own home. This is on her. Some of the pranks you described are things abusive partners do to their victims. She is also showing abusive ex-style behaviors, with her tears and apologies shifting into hostility and name calling. This is also on her. As for your dad, ask him why he doesn't want you to feel safe in your own home. Lather, rinse and repeat that you don't feel safe living with her to him. Keep repeating this to him even if you're sick of saying it. I suggest you mute rather than block your sister. And possibly extend this to your dad if he keeps insisting that you need keep living in an unsafe place. If you mute, she's very likely to leave a text trail of incriminating statements and documentation as your friend. Here, I don't get how this can be real. How was your sister not arrested once she came to clear things up? The police were all LMFAO. What a prankster, this is hilarious. If this is real NTA, tell your dad he can help her with the rent. Go no contact with your family. Tell your dad she should have given you notice she was going to set you up for the neighbors to call the police and detain you. Time to mute them all. So glad your name wasn't on her lease. In my family that sort of behavior is totally unacceptable and ended up NC literally for the rest of life. Tell me she's the golden child without telling me she's the golden child. NTA sounds insufferable. And living with her sounds awful. If she didn't want the person who was paying half the rent, who wasn't on the lease, to move out, maybe she should have been nicer. AITA for taking my sister's upgraded room and giving her mine? Absolute NTA, of course. But what I'm wondering is how the hotel got away with still charging you for the upgrade when it was their fault they were overbooked? NTA, you were the one paying. So you should get the upgrade. If she had paid for her own room, then the upgrade would have been hers. But she didn't. I would think twice about paying for them like this again. Though, they all seem rather ungrateful. Especially since you paid for them each to get their own room. You didn't even make them share. NTA, you did not get an upgraded suite. You paid to upgrade. It's your money. You get the upgrade. Even if the upgrade was free. You paid. It's yours. It wasn't your sister's upgraded room. They were all your rooms. NTA, best room goes to the person who paid. Beggars cannot be choosers.